Hey guys, what's up? It's Blue. This video is a surprise tarot reading for the sign of Taurus. I'm saying it's surprise reading because even I didn't know this was gonna happen. I was on the couch taking a nap when I got woken up out of my sleep and had the strong feeling that I needed to give myself a tarot reading. Was not planning on giving myself a tarot reading, and so I was a little bit annoyed, but I felt strongly that the universe had a message for me. My spirit guides had a message for me. So I pulled cards from my deck, and I was actually very shocked by how accurate and poignant and on time the reading was. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I got a birthday reading. And I was about to go to bed. And then suddenly my guides told me that I was supposed to be giving a birthday reading as a gift to my fellow Taurians. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm listening to my intuition. The funny thing is, I have been meaning to do a tarot reading for a while. I had all these plans about how I was going to do it, and I was trying to figure out the best way. But sometimes the answer kind of reveals itself on its own. So I meditated and pulled some cards. And so I'm going to do a generalized reading for the sign of Taurus. As I mentioned in my previous videos, your sun sign is not the only sign that's powerful. So this is not just for people who have the sun sign in Taurus. It's also for those who have a Taurus rising, a Taurus moon, or a Taurus Venus. Once again, this is not just for the sun sign of Taurus. It's also for a Taurus rising, a Taurus moon, or a Taurus Venus. Also, this is a generalized reading. It would be physically impossible for this reading to resonate completely with every Taurus who reads this. Who sees this. So if this is not your message and it doesn't resonate, please don't force it. Whoever is meant to see this is going to see this, and this is for them. So if you are that person, great. If you're not, it's all good. Maybe the next message will be for you, okay? Because I wasn't planning this, I don't even have my tripod. I'm just using my little handheld. So apologies if the footage shakes a little bit because I'm holding it with my hands. The first card I pulled was the Queen of Cups. This is a beautiful card. I love this card so much. I'm going to get into that later. Then I pulled the Two of Swords. I'm going to put the camera closer. I pulled the Two of Swords, the High Priestess card. Then I pulled the Two of Wands, the Death card, the Eight of Swords, and then the Six of Swords. For those of you who see the Death card and you're freaking out, please don't. Death is more of a metaphor than actual death. And for anybody who's asking, that's my new incense burn over there. I love it so much. It's like the smoke is coming down the hands. It's so cute. Anyways, this is what this reading is telling me. And again, take what resonates and discard what doesn't. Do not force it, because you guys are intuitive whether you realize it or not. And you're going to feel in your heart if this is your message or not. What this is telling me is, for the Tauruses who are meant to see this, is that you are in a space where your heart is open and you are wanting to connect a lot. I know this quarantine has all of us being really introspective. And for those who this message is meant for, the quarantine and just the general energy of what's happening, maybe it's birthday season if you are, if your sun sign is Taurus, it has us feeling very emotionally open and receptive, almost like a sponge. The problem, though, with that is in our physical lives, because the way I do my cards are mind, body, spirit, wild card, and outcome. Mentally, you guys are feeling really open and wanting to like connect and feel loving energy, not just romantically, but also with your tribe. You're probably feeling like you just want to connect with folks, which makes sense considering a lot of us have been stuck in the house for so many weeks. But physically, that's not what's happening. Physically, there is some kind of bondage that's happening. It's a mental bondage. So for those of you who have jobs that you are not fond of, this might be your work is stressing you out and making you feel tied down. For those of you unemployed, it could be your finances that have you feeling physically tied down and mentally bonded. For those of you who are in relationships, this is not that great. It means you might be in a relationship that has you feeling mentally tied down. There's just a lack of physical freedom and mental freedom for a lot of you right now that is probably kind of weird for you because it's juxtaposed against you mentally wanting to like feel all this love. So for a lot of people who are watching this, they are feeling like really open and receptive to love, but also feeling very tied down and bonded in a way that does not feel free. In the spirit realm, we have the High Priestess card. The High Priestess card is a card that we see when there are factors at play that you cannot see. So When I see this card, I always say be careful what you think and be careful what you're being told, because there are things happening behind the scenes that you are not aware of. It could be outside forces that are trying to control you. It could be people who are talking behind your back. It could be someone who you love who has ulterior motives. It could be a toxic relationship that hasn't revealed itself yet. So if you see the High Priestess card, it means don't be so quick to make long-term plans based off of whatever is happening right now, because whatever's happening right now in your life is not the full story. And when you get the full story, you might want to make different decisions. Then we have, as the wild card, we have the Two of Wands. The Two of Wands is someone who has an adventurous spirit. So this is really interesting to me that while this card, the Two of Swords, is saying in real life, you might be feeling tied down or bonded by a commitment that is stressing you out. It's saying that spiritually, you actually want to be free. You actually want to see new things. You actually want to explore your options, even though your real life might not currently being allowing that. For some of you, it might be a literal thing about the quarantine. For others, it might be a relationship or a mindset that needs to be let go. But these two cards are in direct conflict, which kind of explains this card in the middle of the High Priestess that is saying there are factors at play. So if you want to be free but don't feel free, be clear that there's other information that's going to be coming out over the next couple of weeks that's going to explain to you why your real life and the life you want aren't necessarily matching up right now. Then we have the Outcome card. And in the Outcome card, we have the Death card. Now, a lot of people fear this card because they think it means literal death. It does not mean literal death. What the Death card means is whatever situation that you're in right now, it's probably not going to last. There is a death that's going to be happening. There's something that you are invested in right now that probably means a lot to you, or is just something that is a huge part of your life that's going to have to come to an end for you to get the freedom that you seek here. And when I asked for a clarifying card about this Death card, I then got another card of mental bondage, which is the Eight of Swords. Whenever you see this card, it says that there are things that are going on where you are feeling restricted and confused and conflicted. So everything about this reading is about conflict, right? There's a life that you want versus what's currently happening. So a lot of you are feeling tied down. You're either feeling tied down by a relationship, a job, or a mentality. And it's saying that for you to get the happiness that you want, you're going to have to kill something. Something's going to have to die. So there's a current relationship either with yourself, your employer, or with your partner that's going to have to come to an end for you to get the happiness that you seek. For some people, this can be seen as bad news. I know the first time I pulled a Death card, I was very devastated because I was actually at the time in a relationship that I was really into. And then there was another time I got the Death card and I was at a job that I thought I really was attached to. And both times when both of those things ended, there was so much more happiness on the other side. But because this is a Taurus reading, Tauruses hate change. And so you're probably going to fight this. You're probably not going to want to let go of whatever it is the universe is telling you to let go of. And then I pulled another clarifying card, and this one is actually better news. This is the Six of Swords. This is the card of once you let go and end whatever relationship has you feeling tied down and is stopping you from being free and thinking for yourself. Once you let go and allow the Death card's energy to take place, once you let go of the mental bondage of being tied down by an outside force, once these hidden energies that have yet to reveal themselves have revealed themselves and the truth makes itself clear, the worst will be behind you. In this card, you can see there's a boat that is going towards the sun. The sun is the most positive card in the actual tarot decks. And this boat is going towards the sun. And the swords that of you are like fighting, arguing, whether it's with your employer, your partner, or with yourself, these swords have been left behind and the boat is going towards the sun. So it's saying that once this thing dies, this thing that you're attached to, once it's gone, the worst will be behind you and your mental bondage will be gone and you'll be able to go on a new adventure that you probably currently can't see yourself on. Again, Taurus is a very fixed earth sign. We don't like change. And this whole reading is about having to make peace with the fact that there's going to have to be a potentially painful and or complicated ending in your current life for you to get the happiness that you seek. This hit me between the eyes because this resonates with me. For all of you who are watching this, who it does resonate with, it's probably going to resonate in different ways. I also pulled two other cards. I pulled a love card because I wanted to be clear that for those of you who are seeing this as a love reading, because I know love is the most popular question we get when it comes to tarot, I pulled a love card and you guys got the codependency card, which unfortunately reinforces what all the other cards says. It says addictions are affecting your romantic life. So this is a card of, for those of you who are watching this, who are in a relationship, apparently right now there's a lot of Tauruses who are in codependent relationships that need to address that. Now we have to be careful what codependency looks like, because this card is one of those cards that you see when it's not a fleeting moment of codependency, but it's actually a theme in a relationship. So a codependent relationship can look like something really sweet on the outside. It can look like someone pretending to be setting a boundary, but the boundary is actually meant to like hold you back. Or it could be someone isolating you from your friends and family and making you feel like you have to give them all your attention. Or it could be someone guilting you into feeling bad about following your instincts and making you feel like what you want doesn't make sense. So codependency, it's interesting that this is the card that I pulled, because codependency is one of those things that is really toxic, but tends to pretend to be healthy. It's like a wolf in sheep's clothing. So ask yourself if this applies to your love life. It might apply to your job or to yourself or a relationship with a family member. But if this reading applies to your love life, ask yourself, in what ways are you and your partner being codependent, and why is that toxic? I also pulled another card from my heart deck, a general theme card. And this card is the card of teaching. I actually love this card. And I have a booklet that I actually want to read what this card means to you, because this one I don't want to wing. I have all these things memorized, but for this, I actually want to read what the booklet says. Hold on, let me pull it up. You guys, bear with me. I'm doing all this on the fly with one hand. What's crazy is I totally didn't expect to be doing this at all. So for anybody out there who is an empath or a clairsentient or a reader or who has guides, you know what it's like when you get a message that you are not even planning to give, but the universe has other plans for you. All right, this teach card says, and this is for this card right here, the teach card. It says, although the name of the card is to teach, it brings the dual energies of both teaching and learning. You have much wisdom to offer regarding affairs of the heart. This wisdom has been gained through all your joys and your sorrows. At this time, there may be an opportunity to assist someone else regarding a relationship. That person may even be you. When the opportunity arises, remember the shepherd, one who gently guides his sheep along this desired path. Use that same gentleness in guiding yourself and others. Now, the beautiful thing about this card, and about the fact that this card, you guys, this is crazy. Like, I pulled cards from 3 different decks and they're all saying the same thing. When it comes to tarot, that's when you know the message is not a fluke, right? Every single card that I pulled was about codependent relationships, being in a situation that's binding you while pretending to be loving, having to kill something off in order to find the freedom that you seek, being mentally confused because you're like, why? This thing is supposed to be good. Why don't I feel good about it? All these cards are saying the same thing about having to let something go during this season in order to get the true freedom and happiness that you seek and deserve. And this last card, this teach card that I love so much, is saying that sometimes the best way you can learn or listen is to teach. Now, how many times have you been in a horrible romantic situation and someone said, well, if this was happening to one of your closest friends, what advice would you give them, right? Because sometimes we give advice to others that we don't take ourselves. So this teach card is saying, think about what advice you would give to someone else in your situation. If you were with somebody else, let's say your best friend called and said, I have a job that I feel is holding me back and I'm just holding on to it because of the quarantine. Or I'm in a relationship where we're codependent and I'm being tied down, but I'm staying because I don't want to be alone. Or if someone was like, hey, I have a self-limiting belief that is holding me back, but I'm sticking to it because I'm scared. What advice would you give to a dear friend? Whatever advice you would give to your best friend in your exact situation, this card is advising you to give that same advice to yourself and to actually take it. So guys, that was my first quick and dirty generalized tarot reading. I hope the people who are supposed to be seeing this see this, because it woke me up out of bed, so clearly it was important. I have no idea who this is for, and that's kind of the beauty of it. I usually do tarot readings with people in my living room, and they're sitting across from me and we're having tea and we're talking and it's like part tarot, part therapy. But this message was so important that it rose me out of my bed. So yeah, I had to share it. And that concludes my first reading for this channel. If you liked this reading, please give me some feedback on if it resonated with you or not, because I'm kind of curious to see who this is for. And I have to be honest, now that I'm looking at this reading, it kind of, a couple of points in this reading actually make sense for me as well. So that's kind of fascinating. Anyways, it's crazy late in LA right now. It's like midnight, which means it's like 3 a.m. on the East Coast. So I'm going to go to bed. I love you guys for watching. Until next time, bye.